And take a deep breath. Breathe deeply and slow. As you breathe in, observe the muscles of your stomach expand. As you breathe out, observe the muscles of your stomach contract. Breathe slowly and deeply. Let go of any tension in any part of your body and relax yourself. Continue to breathe slowly and deeply. Even if your mind goes elsewhere, acknowledge the thought, ignore it, and gently bring your attention back to your breathing. Gently rub your palms and wipe your eyes. And gently open your eyes. Thank you. Good. Thanks for joining. Let me share my screen and let me know if you're able to see it. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
So today we will learn how, even though we blame everybody under the sun except ourselves for our state of mind, we will understand how powerful each one of us is and how much power we have on our own mind and how to exercise it. That's why the tagline, you're your best friend and you're your worst enemy. It comes from the Bhagavad Gita shloka. Atmaiva hyatmano bandhuratmaiva ripratmanaha. Atmaiva means Atma only, self. Hyatmano, this means for Atma. Bandhuhu means friend. Atmaiva, Atma itself or only. Ripuhu means enemy. So you are your best friend and you are your worst enemy. So if your mind is behaving like a worst enemy for you at this point of time, you are at the right place because you will learn how to make your mind as your best friend. And when and why does it become an enemy and how to convert it into a best friend, we will learn about all those insights today. If you have any questions, please feel free and then you can raise your hand and then start speaking. Good. So now we are going to do a very tough exercise. I want whoever wants to participate, you can switch on your cameras and be ready. Have a notebook and a pen, or you can open another folder. Ready for the tough exercise? I'm telling you, it's going to be tough. Okay. So I'm going to give you 3 minutes. 1 minute reflect and then write an essay on Modi. Take 2 minutes. And the interesting part is, after you write, at random, I will ask you to share and read out what you wrote for the rest of the team. You can start now. Okay, you can stop. Question. How many of you switched off your video as soon as I said I'm going to ask you to read this session. And for how many of you, what first thought came to your mind as soon as I said, this is going to be a tough exercise? And as soon as I asked, you have to write an essay on Modi. Yes. What thought came to your mind? Go ahead, share. Yeah, Simran, those from Rajkot, Rashi, what thought came to your mind as soon as I said we are going to do a tough exercise?
I was expecting the maths question that we normally do. So
Okay, so you thought it's going to be a math question?
yes.
Okay. Others, what's the first thought that you got? Folks, go ahead. There's nothing right or wrong. This is a part of the session.
Some logical puzzle.
Okay, you expected a logical puzzle. Okay. Others?
I thought some exercise related to meditation or something like that only.
Okay, very good. Others? So that first thought that you got as soon as I asked this question is what we call as self-talk. So this is something you are speaking with yourself. So I wanted to demonstrate what is self-talk. That is why I created this exercise. My intention was not to trouble you folks, nor to expose your writing skills or speaking skills or comprehension skills. So how does typical self-talk look like? It looks something like this. All of us have experienced this. So this is not a bug, it's a feature. That's the first thing I want to tell all of you. Okay, because whatever thoughts we are making is the conversation we are having with ourselves. So it refers to that steady stream of ongoing thoughts or the internal dialogue that goes on in our minds constantly. It's a conversation we are having with ourselves. It's the story I tell myself about my life and experiences. And it's the mind chatter that typically goes on just below our conscious thought. It happens so automatically that we don't even realize that I am speaking with myself. Yes or no? So this awareness that I am speaking with myself is the very first step to harness the power of self-talk. That is why this exercise. So why is this self-talk important? Why should we even discuss about this? One of the reasons why I created this deck, and I've been sharing this for more than 2 decades now in various forums all across the world and in India, is this is one of the skills that I learned as a part of my meditation practice. And I found it extremely powerful and extremely beneficial, which helped me to control my own mind and my own state of mind, my own sthiti. That is when I realized this is such a powerful skill that all of us need to learn. Unfortunate that these things are not taught in our school or college. So the reason is manayeva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayoho. That means mind alone is responsible. Karanam. Bandha mokshayoho. Mokshayoho means freedom. Bandhanam means bondage. When my mind gets entrapped in senses, vishaya saktam, okay, bandhaya, that is bondage. Nirvishayam, when I move beyond that, muktaihi, that is when I experience freedom. So mind alone is the reason for bondage and liberation. And when mind is free from influence, it leads to freedom. Let me give you an example. How it is not always only the external things that give us happiness. I'll give you an example. For whatever reason, your manager in front of your whole team gave you a very strong dressing down and he humiliated you. Now you go home. and your mom says or your dad says, I have got a new iPhone 15 for you, will you be able to enjoy that moment? You can unmute and speak. You are utterly humiliated. You are even thinking of resigning. And at that time, your dad says, I got you iPhone 15. What will be your reaction? Folks, this is going to be interactive. So don't have self-talk about answering or not answering. Just unmute and then start answering. There is no right or wrong answer. I'm just asking your experiences because it's going to make it more lively. Yeah. Anyone?
Yeah. So basically, we can't enjoy. Reason being like the mind state at that particular time,
Correct.
like what we are thinking.
Exactly. That mental state. So this is a very important insight for all of us. Our happiness or our sorrow is not only the result of things external, it is the result of some things internal. And when you see this, can you guess what those 3 letters mean? Anyone? What do those 3 letters stand for? Let me ask you a question. In any area of your life, you can choose your area. Do you think you can do better than what you're currently doing? Raise your hand. Yeah, you can choose any area of your life. Fantastic. Very good. So I can see lots of hands going up. Fantastic. You know the reason? Because the reason why we raised our hand is because of this one. Because we feel our potential is always bigger than our performance. And what is it that is interfering in me expressing my potential and translating it into performance? It is that small I. What I think about myself, and that I is what my belief systems are and what self-talk I have with myself. As that starts getting closer to 0, small p becomes equal to larger p. My potential starts becoming equal to my performance. It is that I, that's where the self-talk comes in. And now another very important insight. Human brain will do anything possible you tell it to do if you tell it often enough and strongly enough. And brain does not make any differentiation, whether it is positive or negative. It will just listen and follow your instructions if you repeat it often enough. When I casually state, no matter what I do, I just can't seem to make enough money to make ends meet. If I constantly keep having negative self-talk with myself, then this is what your subconscious mind will say. Okay, this is what you're reporting to me. This is what I will make it happen. Interesting. And in turn, it will unleash its powerful control over our mental and physical selves to achieve what we have been telling ourselves. So there is a lot of role that our mind plays in whatever we do. Unfortunately, most of the times we are not aware of it. Very important principle. And I would encourage each one of you, whether you open another window or you open a notebook, you might want to share some of these insights, and I will share the deck also. The longer you repeat the thought without challenging it, the truer it becomes. And this is where most of our sorrow comes from. We make a waste or negative thought about ourselves. We keep repeating it without any data, and then that starts becoming more and more true. And we reach a stage where we start believing in it and we become a swaroop. That means we become an embodiment. And that is how our self-talk, what I'm telling myself, influences my moods, my emotions, and ultimately my behavior. My behavior in the sense, let me give you an example. If I go to a party and if I am anxious and if I am worried about what others will think about me, will I be open to go and then mingle with people, or will I be not open? How will I be? I won't be open, right? Because there is that self-talk that is going on, which is influencing my behavior. And that will also influence my mood, that will also influence my emotion. So, what are you seeing in the picture? Go ahead. You can share what are the elements that you are seeing in the picture. Folks, you can unmute and speak. A huge bird, very good. What else? Yes, you can even type.
Probably the bird is having something in its beak.
Correct. Something in its beak. It's holding something in its beak.
Yeah, and probably water or land. On the
Okay. Worst enemy is killing best friend. Interesting. Huge bird is eating another creature. Water body, baby. Very good. Yes. And you're able to see 2 legs. You're able to see grass. You're able to see some birds in the distance. You're able to see all of these? Yes?
Yeah.
Fish? Yes. Now, tell me what you're seeing. Are you able to see a boat? Are you able to see 2 huge trees? Are you able to see fish? Are you able to see an island? Are you able to see some tents? Now, if I ask you, is there a fish here? Is there a bird here? Is there a boat here? Is there a beak here? It's both a yes and no, because it all depends. What you are seeing depends on how you are seeing. I didn't change the reality. Exactly same picture. I didn't change a single pixel. But what you are seeing is determined by how you are seeing. Please remember this principle. The what is not going to change. The world will not change. But the experience I get from the world depends on how I am seeing the world. You agree with that? So, what I see in the world is a function of my worldview, how I am seeing the world. If I see world as a scary place, as a place filled with scarcity, that is what I will experience. If I see world as a place which is of abundance and I can grow, that is what I will experience. And my understanding is the result of my worldview. Because whichever way I am looking at the world, that is how I will see things, and those are the things I will understand. And my reaction is dependent on my understanding. Do you agree with that? You see the sequence? So now how you see, irrespective of what is happening in the world, my reaction or my subjective experience is a function of how I am interpreting the world. Because this is very, very important. Do you agree with that? So there is world, bunch of series of positive, neutral, and negative events. Then there are the thoughts that I make about those events. And only after that will they become my experience, will they turn into my mood. So world is not directly translating into my experience. There is my mind, there is my brain that is coming in between. So there is objective reality, and there is my mind, which is giving rise to my subjective experience. This is the most important equation from today's session. When we understand this, then a lot of our life can be changed. So objective reality When we add our interpretation or self-talk, only then it leads to our subjective experience. That is why I quite often say thought plus judgment is equal to feeling. Only when you judge something will it become an emotion or a feeling. If you don't judge anything, it will not become a feeling. Take an example. If you are going from your office to home, and if I ask you to recall something, you will only recall those things which generated a feeling. And what will generate a feeling? Only those things that have created a judgment in you, a response in you. Wow, what a wonderful Ganesh Pandal. Or wow, a wonderful car. So you judged it. Then that is what you will remember. But there'll be so many things you will see on the road, but you will not be able to recall because they just passed by. You never judged them. So your experience is being created by you. And self-talk is that invisible architect of our subjective experience. What I am telling myself determines how I'm going to feel in any given situation. That's a little bit tricky, but I will give you time to read that. Agreed? The way I behave with you is what I think you want me to behave as. Okay? This is what is called as a looking glass self. It's the same me, but this is how my mom and dad see me. This is how my girlfriend sees me. You see that extra power? And this is how my elder brother sees me. That is below. That is my weakness. And this is my ex-girlfriend sees me. It's exactly the same me. But this is what I think they are seeing me as. And my perception is my reality, irrespective of what the reality is. And you saw in that picture. How I look at things determines what I see. And how I look at things is determined by what I am telling myself. So when I speak something negative to myself, that becomes negative self-talk. Some of those examples. I'm really out of shape. Why should I try? It's not going to work anyway. Even before starting it. The only kind of luck I have is bad luck. I never win anything. Nobody likes me. Sometimes I wish I'd never been born. If anyone is getting these kind of thoughts repeatedly, please get in touch with me, especially the last one, because these are not good. And positive self-talk. What kind of talk or conversation or thoughts do I need to make which will empower me? Very important. I failed. I'm not a failure. Failure is a detour. It's not the end of life. I can make time for exercise. I'll give another try. I can achieve my goals. Now, interesting part here with this self-talk is, if you see here, you take the last one. I can achieve my goals. Now there is a goal. You're starting to work towards it. Now there are two thoughts you can make. One, I cannot achieve this goal. Two, I can achieve this goal. Which kind of thought will motivate you and help you start working towards your goal? First one or second one? Which one? The first one or second one?
The first one we can.
This one.
Right? The second one. Because if I say I cannot achieve my goal, will I be motivated enough to start working towards it? Yes? So the second one is I can achieve. If I start with I can't achieve, then I won't be able to have that motivation. Now here is where something I want you to observe. Even before I start my task, based on what I am telling myself, I am able to increase or decrease my motivation level and my energy level exclusively depending on what I am telling myself. Isn't that interesting? When I start with this thought that I can do this, my energy levels, my motivation, and my probability of succeeding will also increase. Yes or no? But when I start with the thought that I can't do this, my energy levels, my motivation levels, and my probability of succeeding, all of them decrease. This is how self-talk impacts performance. And it has consequences. We may not be aware, but this is what we experience. When you continuously keep telling negative things about yourself to yourself, your anxiety increases, your distress increases, and you will start feeling stressful. You all must have experienced before you gave your interview or before you started entering the examination hall. Yes or no? Will I be able to pass? Even though you have absolutely no clue what questions are going to come, depending on what you are telling yourself, you can either psych yourself up and become anxious, or you can become relaxed. So when you do negative self-talk, like the ones we saw, we experience helplessness. And depression is a process, it's not an event. For most of the people, it will start with you feeling helpless. Prolonged helplessness leads to hopelessness, and prolonged hopelessness then leads to depression. And it all starts with repeating a negative thought to the self. Loss of confidence and loss of self-esteem, as I said, loss of motivation when we keep doing this negative self-talk. And the result is failure. But when you reverse it and do positive self-talk, it enhances our attention and motivation, because research shows when the athletes give a little bit of positive pep talk to themselves, the possibility of they succeeding actually increases compared with those athletes who are worried about the result. It helps us in managing stress, allows us to control emotional reactions, and it maximizes skill development. Even when you are trying to clear your certifications, start with this positive self-talk. That, Bala, it's going to be a little difficult, but you can do it. You can work hard, spend a little more time, and give it a shot. Now, these are the kinds of thoughts I need to have while I am preparing for clearing my certification, because these thoughts will increase my motivation, my energy, and my attention. Because continuously, if I keep having negative self-talk, then my attention levels also go down, because I will try to run away from it. And self-talk influences my decision-making. If I am worried that I won't be able to do, will I even try to do it? The chances are I won't, correct? Because I will say, I know I can't do it, Bala, why try? I've never even tried. But even before I tried, this negative self-talk makes me to even stop trying. That means I have decided not to give a shot. That's how it influences my decision-making. And another interesting aspect about self-talk is there is a lot of rationalization we human beings do in order to explain any particular situation. Yes, even if we try, we might give up early. Absolutely. Because the motivation is not high enough. So you will start reluctantly and you will give up very early, because your energy levels go down very soon. Because you will not be able to persist long enough. Absolutely right. So the kind of rationalization that we do it in, that is what we call it as explanatory style. How you talk to yourself about any situation or event is called explanatory style. And psychologists have found out 3 important elements. Okay? Permanence, pervasiveness, and personalization. In a minute, I'll give you the example which you will understand these 3. Pessimists will tell themselves that bad events will last a long time or forever. I'll never get this done. And that is the permanence aspect of that negative self-talk or the explanatory style. Bad events are universal. I can't trust any of these people. everybody, we will club everybody and we'll say, I can't trust any one of these people. So it's pervasive. I am terrible at this. I will never be able to do it. So I try to personalize because I will always blame myself for the result. But instead, if you take an optimist, he will say bad events are temporary. They are not permanent. That happens occasionally, but it's not a big deal. Have a specific cause and aren't universal. If I face something, an issue, like for example, I came late. It is because of bad roads that I reached late today. I will not blame myself because that's a fact. I will acknowledge it. They have a specific cause and they are not universal. I will not say I am always late and are not their fault. I am good at this, but today wasn't my lucky day. So this is how an optimist will save his energy for another day. And that is how a pessimist will decrease their energy. And in both the cases, if you see, the situation is exactly the same. But whether your energy level is going up or down is dependent on how you are talking to yourself. So you can check. You need not tell me, but you can check for yourself what kind of conversation you have with yourself when you face a failure or when you face a bad situation. Now, this theory they put to interesting test, and why this has become accepted is because of this. In 1985, the guy who proposed this is Martin Seligman. He is one of the famous psychologists in the world. So once he and a couple of his friends, when they proposed this explanatory style, they wanted to put it to test. So what they did was they gathered the comments made by 12 national baseball teams in US and categorized their explanatory style. Publicly available comments, whatever comments they made. And then they predicted which teams are going to do better based on the explanatory style of their team members. And optimistic teams performed better than pessimistic teams statistically in 1986 as predicted. Because in 1985, they gathered the data, and in 85, they predicted who will do better in 86. And whatever their predictions were, they came true. And interestingly, they repeated this in the next year. They gathered all the whatever publicly available statements were there from the team members. They analyzed it, put them into different explanatory styles, and they again predicted next year. And again, that confirmed, their performance confirmed their prediction. From baseball, they moved to basketball. Even in that basketball, the results were the same. Whatever they predicted, they worked. So those of you who are managers, those of you who are leaders and leads, who manage your teams and are interested in influencing your team members, first check what is the explanatory style of a particular team member. How are they explaining any difficult situation or any failure that they have gone through? Until they change their explanatory style, their energy levels will not be unleashed. So this is one of the interesting ways to note what kind of interventions need to be made if we want to make our teams better than who they are. And not only does self-talk impact performance the way you saw, self-talk has practical implications on our own physical and mental health. When my mind is upset, my brain sends a not okay signal to the body. That is why when I upset, I experience sometimes headache, stomachache, fever, yes or no? All these things I experience, sometimes vomiting, because even without any external cause, when my mind is upset, my brain is sending a not okay signal, and that is what is making my body respond in a stressful manner. When my mind is relaxed, brain sends an all okay signal. Please remember that. And why this happens is because of this relationship. Mind impacts body through the brain. This is what we discussed in the previous session on effect of thoughts on health. And this is a proven fact that mind does impact the body through the brain. That is why when you don't feel good, will you perform at your best? But when you're feeling good, you will be able to give your best, right? Best energy. Everything else remaining the same, exclusively depending on your mind, on your mental state. That is how these three work. And body also impacts the mind through the brain. When you fall sick, will you feel good or will you not feel so good? You won't feel good, right? Because that is where your body is influencing your state of mind. That is why those two-way arrows. And how does our mental state translate into the bodily reaction? That is what we call as HPA axis. Hypothalamus, whatever we think in our mind is picked up by this little gland inside the brain called hypothalamus. And that is what sends signal to the pituitary gland, which in your 10th class standard biology, you must have learned that is the master of endocrine glands. And then pituitary gland sends a signal to the adrenaline glands, which are on top of our kidneys, to release stress hormones. Especially when we are stressed and mind is constantly engaged in waste or negative thought, cortisol, the stress hormone, continuously keeps getting released. This is what is called as the famous HPA axis, because this is how our mental state is translated into physical experience. Rigid and negative self-talk, the examples of which you saw, is linked to a range of psychological disorders, eating disorders, psychosis, and depression. Constantly thinking negative about yourself, constantly thinking negative about the people around you is not good for your own health. And compassionate, accepting, growth-oriented self-talk. It's okay, Bala. Once in a while it happens. What's the big deal? If 10 people joined in the beginning and only 10 people are left at the end of your talk, that's not your fault. You did your good job. They might be having some other activities. You see? So this is compassionate, accepting, growth-oriented self-talk that I have with myself. Then that has lower levels of depression and anxiety and higher levels of well-being. And interestingly, this compassionate self-talk has also led to improved academic performance among students, compared with those students who are constantly talking negative to themselves, about themselves. Heart attack, one of the biggest killers in the world, whether it is for men or women. Frequent, prolonged, and intense anger, it increases the risk of heart attack. Because cortisol, the stress hormone, which is released during heightened anger, it damages the cells lining the heart. That is what leads to heart attack. That is why it is said, anger, before it burns the other person's, burns you. You must have heard that. That's what we say in our culture. This is the science behind it, or this is the reason behind it. So the more hostility, the more anger, more cortisol, and higher the risk of heart attack. That is why it is important that we learn to forgive. We may not be able to forget, but it is important that we forgive and move on with our life rather than holding on to some of the negative impressions, because they are not doing you any good. So let us once again revise some of the positive self-talk examples. I am smart, confident, and capable. I can do this task. I can face this situation. I failed. I am not a failure. I can make time for exercise. I'll give another try. I can achieve my goals. Very simple ways of reaffirming my own capability and telling that to myself the way a good friend would tell me. In simple terms, that's what is positive self-talk. And you saw all the benefits. Because positive self-talk increases your psychological immunity. That means you will become psychologically stronger and your waste and negative thoughts will reduce. This is what we call a psychic entropy. And negative self-talk does the reverse. And when you continuously criticize yourself, when you continuously judge yourself, it reduces creativity. This is proven. Take a simple example. If I come to you and then I tell you, go ahead and write whatever you want to write. I will not read. I just want you to spend next 10 minutes in writing whatever you want to write. What will be your outcome? In the second case, if I say, write it, but I'm going to come and then rate it, what will be your response? Naturally, in the first case, your ability to think, because I'm giving you a free hand, will be far higher and your creativity will blossom. Yes or no? But in the second case, as soon as I talk about rating, okay, your writing will get impacted. And positive, elevated, and open mood. When I start with that positive talk, when I am non-judgmental with myself, when I am not critical with myself, my more and more new ideas come and my creativity increases. So whenever you are trying to brainstorm or solve a problem, first get into this non-judgmental mode. Remember that. That is what will increase your creativity. Non-judgmental means you can tell yourself, Bala, give your best. It's okay. Give it a shot. Whether you succeed or not an issue, but at least give it a shot. Don't worry about the result. That little bit of pep talk can actually improve my focus. So shall we do some positive conversation with ourselves? Good. Sit back, relax. You can close your eyes if you feel comfortable that way. And take a deep breath. Breathe deeply and slowly. Let go of any tension in any part of your body and relax yourself. Visualize a shining bright white star in the middle of your forehead. A shining bright white star spreading white rays of peace and relaxation all around you. You are able to see yourself as a being of light. With every cell of your body spreading this white rays of peace and relaxation all around you. Through your mind's eye, while you see yourself as a being of light, gently make these thoughts. I am peaceful. I am loveful. I am capable. I am peaceful. I am loveful. I am capable. I am peaceful. I am loveful. I am capable. Gently rub your palms and wipe your eyes. Was it easy? If it is easy, you can raise your hand. Very good. It's that simple. Taking those few tens of seconds to have this positive conversation with ourselves, you see how it makes us relaxed. And this has a very, very powerful impact. It hardly takes 60 to 90 seconds. And another interesting thing about our mind is when faced with a situation, we resort to two kinds of thinking. Anyone wants to guess what those two kinds of thinking are? Especially in relationship with other people. Yeah, go ahead, Anjana, no problem. Siddhartha?
Yeah, probably the positive side and the negative side. Yeah.
Very good. That's a good way to start. So there's another way to do that, which is labeled it as, we call it as inflammatory thinking and reflective thinking. Okay, Vivek. Inflammatory means that which causes that burn inside, that negative experience inside. So inflammatory thinking is impulsive. It is filled with hostility, blame, self-righteousness, problem-centric, energy sapping, and frustrating. So any thinking that makes me experience these is inflammatory thinking. But reflective thinking is fact-based, solution-centric, energizing, and I get into thinking more. So how does inflammatory thinking look like? It looks like this. I hope none of you as leads or managers have experienced the second one on the right or the third one. So this is the example of inflammatory thinking. And whenever I get into inflammatory thinking, there's a lot of negativity that I am telling myself, and my brain also responds by sending not okay signals and making my body release a lot of stress hormones. That is why whenever I do this negative self-talk, especially in relationship with others, I feel so frustrated and drained in my energy. How can I change my inflammatory thinking into reflective thinking in any given situation? First is to realize that my inflammatory thinking is the result of my assumption that other people are wantedly doing this. When I assume that, that is when my anger, my hostility shoots up. Instead, if I tell myself that others are not acting out of malice, but because of lack of skill, or because of lack of insight, or because of lack of self-confidence. If I can tell myself about others, especially when others are not doing what I want them to do, then I will be far more relaxed and I will be more solution-centric rather than getting into inflammatory thinking. So how can I change my inflammatory thinking into reflective thinking? It could be with kids, it could be with your spouse, it could be with your team members, it could be with anyone. When I start judging others the way I judge myself, then inflammatory thinking transforms into reflective thinking. Very simple. Because when I make a mistake, I will always think, maybe I should have learned more, maybe I should have gained more insight, maybe I should have been more confident while speaking, but I will never tell myself I wantedly screwed things up. Will I say that? Abhimanyu, will I say that about myself? I wantedly screwed up with today's presentation with the client. We will never say that, right? But when we think of others, that is what we think. They wantedly screwed it up. I know it. But when you start judging them the way you judge yourself, a lot of your hostility comes down. Sorry. And one of the ways in which we can get into that reflective mode is by practicing this self-distrusting or detachment. I would want a volunteer who can switch on their video, because we are going to play a small game. It's not going to be difficult. It's very simple. So if one of you can switch on your videos and then raise your hand, we will play the game and all of us will learn from it. Anyone? Hello? Okay. Thanks, Rashi.
Yeah.
Asma also raised her hand. Asma, can you please switch on your video?
So Asma's hand was raised long back.
Long back. Okay, sorry. Shakti, you are ready? Yes. Do you have
Yes,
a
sir.
notebook with you?
Yes.
And is something written on it?
Yeah, you can Zappy.
Good. So you are able to read them, correct? Just open the book. Yeah. And you're able to read them, correct?
Yeah, I can.
Yes. Can you move the book closer to yourself?
Yes.
Even more closer.
Too close. Then I can't see.
No, even more closer. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. Keep doing
Okay.
it. Keep doing it. Bring it so close to your eyes.
I can't see.
You can't see, right? Your own notebook, your own writing. Why are you not able to see?
Because I am too close to it.
What suffered because of that closeness?
My eyes, I can't see my
Clarity.
clarity is gone.
Correct?
Yeah.
So, in any given situation, if I am too close to the situation, my clarity suffers and I become more anxious. But when I create that distance, it's called clarity of distance, that self-distancing, that detachment. When you hold the book at the appropriate distance, you will be able to see the facts in the situation. It is still your baby, but it is not making you anxious. So one of the ways in which I can transform my negative self-talk into positive self-talk is when I create that distance between myself and my situation. Okay? And let's do a very simple exercise of how to do this self-distancing. Close your eyes, visualize yourself on a railway platform. Just visualize yourself on a railway platform. Okay? Now you're seeing trains passing back and forth. Just see them. One train comes, stops, goes away. Just watch the trains come and go. Come and go. Just watch the trains. Are you able to watch the trains just come and go?
Yeah.
Very good. So now replace your thoughts with those trains. Anytime you want to come out of your negative self-talk or anxiousness introducing self-talk, a lot of thoughts are going, just distance yourself and observe them. Just observe, allow them to go. Don't judge, don't hold on to them. And this is an excellent practice that has been shown to improve our mental health a lot. And also improve our BP and also our heart health. Just observe the thought. It comes, it goes. Don't ask why did it come, where did it come from, when did it come, why did it come only now. It came, it's gone. And remember, just label it as it is just a thought. Just because I am making the thought, it need not be true. A lot of times our anxiety increases because we label our thoughts as true. They are not. It is just a thought. I'll give you an example. Recently, we were doing a retreat in Delhi through Sears and Google. It was a Sears and Google sponsored retreat. So one of the HR managers, she was attending some of these sessions. She was attending the retreat, and then one of the sessions was about this overthinking. Then we shared this principle. Label any waste thought or negative thought that comes to your mind. Simply say, this is just a thought, it is not true. And next day when she came back, she was literally in tears because for the last more than a week, she was not able to sleep properly because a few waste and negative thoughts have been bothering her. But as soon as she applied this technique, that this negative thought is just a thought, it is not true, she was able to get good sound sleep. That is the impact of self-talk. And this is one of the most important lessons you will learn today. Any negative thought that comes to you, especially about your health, about your future, about your relationships, do not get sucked into that negativity. Immediately, as soon as you become aware, you say, this is just a thought, it is not true. And one of the exercises that you can do to reduce the speed of your thinking, to think less, to think slow and think better is just ask your mind, what's your next thought? Once a thought comes, again ask, what's your next thought? Again ask, what's your next thought? When you keep doing this, you will see that after asking this question 5 or 6 times and just observing the thought that comes and simply saying this is just a thought, suddenly you will start relaxing. Because mind cannot generate any more thoughts. It starts slowing down. It's a tried and tested and very well researched technique. Simply asking the mind, what is the next thought, slows it down. So 2 most powerful tools to control overthinking. Any questions so far? Is it interesting? Shall I continue? Okay. So how does self-talk impact our brain? There are 2 modes in which our brain operates. One is called direct experience network. That means experiencing here and now. when I'm washing dishes, when I'm speaking with you, when I'm touching something, when I'm listening to the talk like this, hopefully you are focused and listening to me. This is direct experience network. When I am aware of what my senses are experiencing. That's why it's called direct experience network. The second network is default mode network. Sometimes when we are speaking, we say, right, hello, I said something, can you repeat? Because you are there, but you are thinking somewhere else because your mind has gone elsewhere, and either it went into the past or it went into the future. That is what we call as default mode network. And a lot of negative and waste thinking and negative self-talk happens because brain switches to default mode network. It does three things. It creates a sense of self, it projects the self onto past or future, and it goes looking for problems. That is why uncontrolled mind wandering is not good. And when you consciously practice meditation, that is positive self-talk, it will deactivate this default mode network. That means mind wandering gets reduced and you bring back your attention to the present moment. Bala, listen. Bala, write down. Bala, focus on what you're doing. So that is bringing the mind back from default mode network state, bringing the brain from default mode network stage to your direct experience state. And the direct experience state is very, very powerful. A lot of our efficiency and effectiveness increases if we are able to make our brain stay in that direct experience mode rather than in the default mode. So the more we practice meditation, the easier it becomes for us to deactivate the default mode network, because meditation is being in the present. So that's why we call meditation as conscious, positive self-talk in a relaxed state. That's the meaning of meditation. It's very simple. So when you talk with yourself, you can just go through this. Just add your name at the end of every sentence. Add your name. I believe in you, Bala. I'm so proud of you, Bala. That is what I would tell myself. And Rashi, if you're going to tell yourself, you will say, go at your own pace, sing your own song, Rashi. That is what you will tell yourself. So it's important that we address ourselves in first person, because that is what creates the power. Because that self-acceptance and getting that self-approval from others is so instinctive in us human beings that we always yearn for it. But in the positive self-talk, we generate that self-approval. And when you add your name, it becomes so much more powerful. This is where it says, you are your own best friend and you are your own worst enemy. Now you understand that? That's why the tagline. So the more I speak with myself as if I am speaking with my best friend, or as if my best friend is speaking with me, even better. The more stable I become, more relaxed I become, more powerful I become. So shall we try that now? Yeah. Just close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Relax yourself and create some positive thoughts for yourself. As if, what would your best friend tell you about your own strengths? Just tell those things to yourself. You are so good. You are so capable because you are able to do all these things. So whatever your best friend would tell you about your own strengths, immerse those thoughts. Good. Gently rub your palms and wipe your eyes. Was it easy or difficult? If it is easy, you can raise your hand. Good. And did you feel good after you did it? Now, this is one of the most and simplest techniques that we require, because everyone under the sun is looking for the same kind of self-acceptance. So if I can generate my own self-acceptance, it becomes so much more easier in my life, because when I ask for your love and you ask for my love, then both are begging each other, and a beggar can never make another beggar rich. But if I can generate that self-love for myself, then I can give it to you, and most important, I will not be dependent on you. And that is what helps the relationship blossom. And all that can begin with this simple positive self-talk. And interestingly, when I am able to become aware of my own mental processes, when I am aware of how my own mind works in any given situation, that awareness itself seems to be improving my well-being and life satisfaction. Because I know why things are happening to me, and I know I can change them. And that is what is called as a self-concept clarity. So getting that self-concept clarity by speaking with myself, by observing myself without judging myself, that is what is meditation. And that is what is central to positive mental health. So if you want to become powerful, if you want to help your children, your team members, your spouses become mentally healthy, one of the things that you need to teach them is how do they become aware of their own positive capabilities. That's what is called a self-concept clarity. Good. So do you want your mind to be like this? Anyone? Or you want it to be like this? All of us want our mind to be like this. All of us. There's no question about it. But do you know that weeds grow on their own? And garden needs maintenance. Because a garden will never grow on its own. So when I consciously practice this positive self-talk on a daily basis, that is when my mind is going to become like a garden. It will not happen just like that. Because there is no such thing as free lunch. Other than if you go to a langar, or you go to Brahma Kumaris, or you go to Hare Rama, Hare Krishna. No other place will you get a free lunch. So if I want to transform my mind into a beautiful garden, then I must make it a habit to generate this positive self-talk and speak with myself as if my best friend would speak with me at least for a few minutes every day. Because what thoughts we create on a daily basis, that is what results in a weed or a garden growing in our mind. What you talk with yourself waters this weed or garden. So constant self-talk, you must become aware of it. Now that you know what is your self-talk, whatever thoughts you are creating is your self-talk. Once you become aware, you must learn to transform it rather than get stuck with that same old tape playing again and again. And interestingly, we might think that I am not a good storyteller, but each one of us, including kids, are extremely good storytellers. Because every situation has two components, the facts in the situation and the story I tell myself. Let me give you an example. You invited your friend and your friend came late. While you were waiting for your friend, what kind of story did you tell yourself? Even without knowing what actually happened with your friend, you started creating a story. Now, even worse, if the friend did not even turn up for your appointment, now see the story that goes on inside your head. You haven't even called, you haven't even cross-checked, but you started getting angry, frustrated. ये तो ऐसी ही है, हमेशा लेट आती है, कभी भी एक बार भी आज तक ये टाइम पे नहीं आई है. So even though you have come many times, even though your friend has come many times on time, in the current situation, you will get into that inflammatory thinking and you will start universalizing it. It becomes pervasive and permanent. ये कभी भी नहीं आती है टाइम पे. And you see the story you're telling yourself. That's a story because you haven't even called and asked. Tire puncture hua, accident hui, she went out to help somebody, she got a escalation. You don't know but you are telling your own story. So what story I tell myself during the situation determines my state of mind. If the story I am telling myself is positive, I will feel empowered. If the story I tell myself is negative, I will feel disempowered. And the interesting part is, who is the writer, director, heroine, audience for this story? Producer? Myself. Now that's both scary and also very empowering, because it means I can change it. If I am creating it, if I am the creator, then I can change it. Now let's take an example of a story. Just go through that. That's an example of a story. Okay, Pooja. Now take a few more examples, because we can't not tell stories. We are continuously telling a story. How did your day go? How did you meet your spouse? You tell a story. What's your resume? It's a story about your professional life. What's your biodata? It's a story about your own personal life. And you even tell stories in the sleep. And these are dreams. And research shows that 2000 daydreams every day. That means we are telling ourselves little stories about this and that. And repeating the same old Gisapita story over and over again is what we call as overthinking. Once I realize I am the director, I am the creator, once I know that I can stop this story, then my overthinking also stops. And remember, you have the capability to edit your stories and make them more empowering. You are not a victim of your stories, you are a creator of your stories. Another very, very powerful insight from today's session. I am the master of my mind. You are the master of your mind, and you can change your self-talk. And remember how self-talk influences performance, how self-talk influences motivation, how self-talk influences my physical health, how self-talk influences my mental health. All of these can be made more positive, because I am the master, I am the director, I can change it. And that's when from blame thinking, we move to responsible thinking. Instead of saying the traffic jam made me angry, my cancelled flight really frustrated me, you make me upset. Every time you come late, you make me upset. You are such a lousy team member. That is a blame thinking. Instead, we move to new way of responsible thinking. I feel angry when I sit in a traffic jam. You see the difference between the two? The traffic jam makes me angry versus I feel angry when I sit in a traffic jam. I feel frustrated. I experience frustration when you don't finish your homework. I feel calm and serene when walking on the beach. I take back the power from the situation to myself. This is a very, very important switch in terms of what kind of thinking or conversation we are having with ourselves. And a lot of our self-talk is victim self-talk. The more we become aware of it and transform it into master self-talk, the more powerful you will become. Okay, any questions? So default, it's time for my daily punishment. I have to go to gym. Now that's how we started. Aha, such a wonderful sleep, and now this fellow wants me to come for gym. I must have love and approval from all the people I find important in my life. Otherwise, my life is not worth living. I should be able to enjoy myself when others begin to behave in a better way towards me. My mother and father are both overweight, so I guess it's in my genes. So what is the use of me dieting, Bala? Anyway, I'm going to become overweight. Chalo, abhi to kha lete. Right? So that is default negative self-talk, because it doesn't require energy. But when you need a little bit of effort, you can change it. Once I finish exercising, I always feel re-energized and in control. So let me start today. I will accept and value myself. If I also have love and approval from others, that's great. I am responsible for my behavior. I cannot control others to make them change so I can be happy. My happiness cannot depend on others changing or not changing. My genes aren't my destiny, but I have I can lose, but I know I can lose weight with healthier habits. Now you see the difference between the default negative self-talk and the replacement of positive self-talk. Oh my God, it's the same project again. See that? My feelings and behavior today continue to be strongly influenced by what happened in the past. Or someone or something is always making me feel depressed. Instead, we replace them with these positive self-talk. No one can make me feel anything without my permission. I love this. You can come and tell me that I'm an idiot. I will say, show me the data. Otherwise, it's just an opinion. And you can have your opinion, and I have the freedom to disagree with your opinion and move on. I will only feel when I add the oil of my agreement to the fire of your disagreement. Right? When I withhold that, what you are saying becomes just an opinion. It is no longer true. And in today's world, this is another area like self-love, this self-compassion. Apne aap par rehm karna seekho. This is the first step for improving your own mental health. That compassion is very, very important, because if I keep on blaming myself, that is what becomes toxic. But when I learn to have that compassionate talk with myself, the way I would speak with a kid, the way my best friend would speak with me, I feel I become strong and relaxed, because self-compassion motivates like a good coach. And I need to speak with myself in a compassionate tone. Shall we try a meditation now? It's very simple. It's a Buddhist metta meditation. What I want you to do is first hug yourself. All of you. Both your hands, hug yourself. It's okay. You're in office. Don't worry. Close your eyes. Okay? Hug yourself tightly and make this thought. Take a deep breath and gently make this thought. May I accept myself as I am. May I accept myself as I am. May I be healthy. May I be happy. May I be peaceful. May I be loveful. May I be capable. May I be peaceful. May I be loveful. May I be capable. May I be healthy. May I be happy. And may I be successful. Just feel it. Gently rub your palms and wipe your eyes. So how do you feel? We don't have to wait for others to bless us. We can bless ourselves every day. And this is true self-compassion. And this is what is called as metta meditation in Buddhism, where you bless yourself. I can go through that. And at the end of the sentence, add your name, as I said. And if you see, if you haven't accepted yourself, see the resistance that comes on board immediately. So that resistance is what you need to overcome. Because that is when the positive self-talk will translate into that experience. Keep repeating it. And the more you self-accept, the more it becomes easier for that self-compassion. Okay? And self-talk also helps to build self-esteem. Depends on what I am telling myself. Because if I continuously have negative self-talk, it reduces my self-esteem. When I have positive self-talk, it increases my self-esteem. Right? It's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog that is important. So it's not about how others see me, but how I see myself. So when someone comes with that positive self-esteem, this is how you would see
I'm joined
interview
right
of
now by Hima Das from India, who is the world under-20 champion in the 400 meters. What does that sound like?
I'm very happy. I'm first girl of India, track and field gold medalist, so I'm very happy. So special thanks my Indian, and especially thanks my coaches Nippon sir, Navjit sir, and my team coach Miss Galina and Basant Singh sir. And especially big thank you for AFY Athlete Federation of India. She's all over support me. I support all players. Thank you so much.
You're wearing this Indian flag. Anybody watching will be so proud of you. What's that feel like to take that home, take that medal?
I'm very proud for Indian flag. So my game now. So I'm very happy. Love you.
Huge congratulations. You've got your medal ceremony.
And this name of Gamusa, my state traditional.
Do you see that? She is not at all worried about internationally millions of people are watching her. I don't know English. What should I speak? No. So when you have that positive self-esteem, that is how you would respond. And nobody talked about her English other than some of those people whom you will find in India who are always negative. Rest of the whole world have acknowledged her joy. And when you see it neutrally, you will also enjoy, her happiness. You can feel it. That is Hima Das from Assam. Now, that is what positive self-talk does to us. It increases our self-esteem. So how do I transform the negative self-talk? First, you become aware, as we have been discussing. Detect. And the second step is disrupt. As soon as you become aware, stop it. This is just a thought. This is not true. And dispute. Ask for data. Don't just believe in whatever waste thought or negative thought comes to your mind. Ask for data. Show me. If you say, Bala, you are so lousy. Show me the data, Bala. Why do you think you are lousy? So I need to speak with myself. I should dispute by reframing using counter arguments. And then consciously design positive and new positive thoughts. So 4 steps, 4D model to transform negative self-talk. Detect, disrupt, dispute, and design. And in any situation, simple way to implement those 4Ds is ask these 4 questions. What are the facts in the situation? What is the story I'm telling myself? Do I have enough data or evidence to worry and become sad, bad, mad? Where is my focus? On the problem or on the solution? Very simple. 4 simple questions that will help you move from inflammatory thinking to reflective thinking. 4 questions that will help you move from negative self-talk to positive self-talk. That will make you more relaxed from being more anxious. Very important. And you can start a positive self-talk journal. I am proud of myself because I feel good when I faced this situation with courage. What I love about myself is the best part of today was I completed, I started, I feel strong when, I am grateful for, I was kind today too. Simple ways which will help you to practice this positive self-talk. So, very simple practice. You can start, and then I would love to hear your experiences. And in essence, self-talk is talking with yourself the way you would talk to your best friend. Or better still, the way your best friend would talk to you. And be careful how you are talking to yourself, because you are listening. Wonderful. Good. Does anyone have any questions? Nimisha, you want to share something? Was it useful? No, she switched off the camera. No, others, don't worry. I would love to see your smiling faces and then see if you can share a couple of nice words. I've already done my positive self-talk. Even if nobody is going to switch on the camera, nobody is going to share. I did my positive self-talk before starting the session, so don't worry. Yeah.
Actually, we are in office.
No, that's fine. You can speak. That's not a problem, Abhimanyu.
Yeah.
Yeah. Senthil, Simran.
Thank you so much, Bala. It was great. It was really helpful.
Yeah. I would love to hear your experiences once you start implementing some of these.
Yes, I'll definitely try and implement this in day-to-day life. Yeah.
Good. So maybe if each one of you can share one takeaway for you from this session, just one key takeaway for you. What touched you most? And we get to simply revise in less than 2 months, and then we end the session.
I think one that is you said about it's only a thought, not a fact.
Correct. As you think, so shall you become. Good. Yes. Anyone else?
Another thing could be that if we speak positive to ourselves, then we automatically feel confident, and then eventually the result, or if any exam we are giving, it improves automatically. We feel confident.
Correct. Very good. Yes. Good, Ravina. Yes. We can work on overthinking. Yes, it is not so difficult. It just needs a little bit of practice. Good. Others? Okay. Fantastic. All the best. And take care.
Thank you, Bala.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank you
so
very
much.
much. Thanks, Rashi,
Thank you, Bala.
Thank you, Bala.
Much
for setting this up.
Thank you.
Thank you.